Namaskaram to all. So we are on the Kṣetrāṭanam of Guruvāyūr, and yesterday we saw the puja vidhis or the different rituals that are done in the temple of Guruvāyūr, right from the Nirmalya Darshanam in the morning till the Olavayana before the temple is closed. In connection with that, the administration of the temple is a very important aspect in Guruvāyūr. We mentioned yesterday in the Olavayana that the accounts of the temple, that is the income, the expenses, all these are read out to the Lord by the administrator and by the other authorities of the temple. The reason is that the Lord is the sole owner of the temple, of the Kshetram and the region. So he is the owner of the place, the Kshetram, and under him you have a yogam or an assembly of the heads of different Nambudri families. These were the Nambudri families which were established at the time of consecration of the idol. When Guru and Vayu, when Brihaspati and Vayu, they consecrated the idol at the behest of Lord Shiva in the spot of Guruvāyūr, in the sacred spot near the Rudra Tirtham, in the presence of Parashurama as well. At that time, after the consecration was done, for the daily rituals to be conducted and for the maintenance of the place, 72 Nambudri families were assigned by Parashurama to this temple, nearby families. So this was called as a yogam. But however, out of this families, many families have become extinct today. They are no more associated with the temple, or they no more exist, and the only surviving family out of these 72 Nambudri families is the Mallisheri Nambudri family. The Mallisheri Nambudri Padu, he's a very famous Upanyasakarta of the Bhagavata Saptaham. Most of you might know, those who regularly attend the Bhagavata Saptahams, especially of the Upanyasakartas from Kerala, this is a very popular name. He's a very devout Upanyasakarta coming from the Mallisheri family. So Mallisheri is the only surviving family among these Nambudri families of the Yogam. Under the Yogam, these heads of the Nambudri families, they appoint the Uralar. The Uralar is the governing committee for the governance of the temple. And the Uralar, they appoint the chief executive called as the Manusham. So the Yogam, the Uralar and the Manusham, this was a three-layered structure for the administration that was laid out for the temple. But over later times, about a century back, you had the doing away, because you don't have those many families left in the Yogam. So it became a necessity to appoint or have another committee or another set of people who can take care of the administration. That is why the formation of the Guruvāyūr Devaswam managing committee, it happened, which has got the Zamorin, who is the king of the place, Zamorin, the Mallisheri Nambudri, the Tantri or the chief priest, the administrators. So there are many members who together form the Guruvāyūr Devaswam management or managing committee. And this managing committee then appoints an administrator or a chief executive. So this administrator is also part of the managing committee. And Zamorin, the Mallisheri Nambudri and Tantri, all of them together, they appoint the administrator who takes care of the day-to-day affairs of the temple. So this is how the administration of the temple is looked at. Now this is for matters for the managing the day-to-day affairs of the temple. But as far as the rituals of the temple are concerned, the daily pujas and other aspects, you have a very different structure. The topmost in this ladder or in the sequence is the Tantri, who is an expert on Tantras. That is why he's called the Tantri. He's an expert of Tantras. For the Guruvāyūr temple, the Tantri is Purakkara Chenas Dinesh Nambudri Padu. He is the Tantri for the Guruvāyūr temple. I would be explaining this more in detail in the next slide. Under the Tantri comes a Odikyan. Odikyan, they're basically Odikyan families. They also come from generation to generation. There are 4 Odikyan families which are assigned to the Guruvāyūr temple. The Odikyans are nothing but people who study the Vedas and who are the reciter of Vedas. The Veda Parayanam, they continuously keep doing the Veda Parayanam. Like the Oduvars, which you have in the Tamil Nadu temples, you have this concept of Oduvars who keep chanting the Vedas and who chant the Vedas in front of the Lord near the Garbhagraham in Sanctum Sanctorum for different rituals and pujas. They chant the Vedas, Vedic mantras. They are called the Oduvars. So here they are called as the Odikyan. There are 4 families that are assigned for this particular purpose of recitation of the Vedas. We will see the relevance of these different levels as we go along. Then you have the male Shanti, who is the head priest. The Tantri is not the one who does the daily pujas of the Lord. The daily pujas of the Lord are done by the male Shanti, the head priest. He is the one who does the daily puja. The daily rituals in the temple are done by the male Shanti. The Tantri, he comes for specific rituals, like the Utsavam that happens in the temple, or Utsava Bali that happens, or any other specific ritual that might have to happen in the temple. Those are conducted by the Tantri. Whereas the male Shanti does the daily rituals of the Lord right from the morning till night. Whatever rituals have to be done are done by the male Shanti. To support the male Shanti, you have the Kṣetrāṭanam, or the supporting priest. So these are the different layers, or these are the different people who are involved in the rituals of the temple. Now we will look at the Tantra Sampradayam a bit in detail. Typically, as I said in my beginning sessions, temple as a concept was not existing during the Vedic period. That is why you don't find in the Vedic literature, you don't find too many references or aspects of how to build a temple or how to conduct rituals for the Vigraham. So because these aspects were not even there during the Vedic times. Even during the Itihasas, they were much very rare. Only during the Puranic times they developed. That is why the literature that is typically referred to for construction of temples or for performance of daily rituals cannot be the Vedas. They are a different set of Shastras called as Agama Shastra. So Agama Shastras are typically the literature that is referred to for the performance of different rituals of the temples, for the construction of temples, for the making of the Vigrahams, etc. Agama Shastras are the typical source. And the Agama Shastras you have for different deities, you have different Agama Shastras. If you look at the Vishnu temples in the country, they typically follow either the Vaikhanasa Shastra or the Pancharatra Shastra. Vaikhanasa Agama Shastra or Pancharatra Agama Shastras are typically used for the Vaishnavite temples. But if you look at Kerala, the temples of Kerala, they don't follow either of these two Agamas for the Vishnu temples. The Vishnu temples in Kerala, and in general, all the temples in Kerala, but since we are dealing with Guruvāyūr here, the Vishnu temples of Kerala, they go by the Tantra Sampradaya. They don't go by the Agama Shastras. They go by the Tantric mode. The reason for this is that the ritual worship in Kerala, for the Kerala temples, was codified by Adi Shankaracharya himself. And Adi Shankaracharya, the Tantra Sampradaya is much older. That has been existing in Kerala for a very long period of time. So Adi Shankaracharya also, when he came, he made it a bit more structured and codified, and he gave the different ritual elements of how the Tantra should be used to worship in temples. Now this Tantra Sampradaya, if you actually look at India, there are 3 areas or 3 places in 3 regions in the country, in Bharatavarsha, in which Tantra Sampradaya is very strong. The Tantric culture is very strong. The first, okay, so even before we go to that, let's see what do you mean by Tantra. Sarve arthaha yena tanyante trayantre cha bhayat janaha iti tantrasya tantratvam tantraknyaha parichakshate. Yena arthaha tanyante. through which the real message or the meaning of the vigraham, of the ritual, of the different things are visible. They become visible, they become manifest, they become clear to the person who is doing the rituals, through which the method through which that is done is called tantra. Trayante cha bhayat janaha, the one that protects the people from fear, is tantra. So tantra is a mode of worship, is a mode of worshipping the Lord, through which the meaning, the ulterior meaning or the inner significance of the different elements of the ritual becomes clear, as well as it protects the performer from fear of death, from fear of samsara chakra, and finally it gives him liberation. So this is developed as a mode, as an approach itself for liberation. There are also many tantric scholars who interpret tantra as tatanu, or is referring to the body. Okay, and tra, the suffix tra, refers to the protection from. So one that protects us from the body, that means one that protects us from this cycle of birth and death, because of us getting a body again and again, and we being born again and again. That mode of worship, that, or that set of that signs that helps us protect from this samsara chakra and liberates us and helps us become one with the deva, become one with that Brahman, become one with that Ishta Devata on whom you're doing the worship. So transcending the physical body and becoming one with the deva is the inner meaning of tantra, is how it is defined by many Vedic scholars. Now, this tantra, as I said, there are three regions in India which are very strong, which have a very strong hold of tantra. One is Kashmir, one is West Bengal, and the third is Kerala. These three regions have a very, very strong, they have had a very strong influence of tantra right from many thousands of years. It's a very age-old tradition in these regions for the use of tantra to worship the Lord. In Kashmir and West Bengal, the tantric way is predominantly non-Vedic in nature. It's called as Vama Marga. Vama is left. The Vama, the term, the prefix Vama is generally used for things that are not conducive to the good aspects of the society. So Vama is typically the inauspicious form, or the evil form, or the non-righteous form. These are all generally classified as Vama. And the righteous form, the auspicious form, is typically mentioned as the Dakshina. Dakshina means right. So the right and the left forms. The left form is generally considered as all the inauspicious aspects, and the right form is considered as the right aspects or the auspicious aspects. So the Vama Marga of Tantra is typically practiced in Kashmir and West Bengal. What are the main aspects of this Vama Marga? There will be practices involving the Panchamakara. Tantra, Panchamakara is a very famous concept of Tantra. Panchamakara means 5 things starting with Ma. Madhya, there is wine. Mamsa, there is meat. Matsya, fish. Mudra, that is performing the different mudras. And Maithuna, that is involving of sexual relationships, right, in the performance of these rituals. So this is a very different kind of tantric aspect, Vama Marga, in which you have to be initiated. Only certain people can do it. Even doing that, the moment it goes beyond a particular level, then it becomes really antisocial and harmful to the society. It involves a lot of black magic, evil spirits, sorcery, many other things. So this is predominantly the kind of tantra that you see in Kashmir and West Bengal. I'm saying predominantly because it is not that everything is that. There have also been reformations and revolutions and many other aspects of cleansing these tantric practices also in Kashmir and West Bengal. So there are many practices of tantra which could be called the Dakshina Marga, but predominantly it is Vama Marga that you see in these temples. And of late there have been many such reformations where many things have been converted into a Sattvika aspect. But predominantly you find that. But in Kerala, right from the beginning, or for a long period of time, it has been following the Vaidika Marga. The Tantra practices are more Vaidika in nature. You use yantras and homas also, along with the tantric practices. The homams or yajnams is a very typical Vedic aspect that you see. The building of the yajna vedi and doing of the homams or yagas. And yantras, different kind of physical objects also that are used. So these are all aspects that are used in the Kerala Tantra. That is why it is more Dakshina Marga. You may call the Kerala Tantra as more Dakshina Marga, and this one as Vama Marga. And 12 families were appointed to practice this Tantra by Parashurama himself. When Parashurama is said to have created the land of Kerala by throwing his axe into the ocean, he reclaimed that land from the ocean, and that land came to be known as Kerala. That is why it is called as Parashurama Kshetra. Many times you refer to the land of Kerala, not just the modern Kerala, even slightly north, even certain aspects of Karnataka. The coastal Karnataka also come under Parashurama Kshetra. So that land was reclaimed from the sea by Parashurama, hence it is called as Parashurama Kshetra. So after the reclamation of the land, Parashurama is said to have installed various temples for the Devis, for Durga Kshetrams, various temples of Shasta, as well as temples of Shiva, Vishnu, Shankaranarayana, Subramanya, Ganapati, many deities. So, and the form of worship that he had prescribed was the Tantra Marga, and he had appointed 12 families to carry on this worship of Tantra in the temples. Later on, these families also, they branched out into many, like if there are two sons, the two sons would start, two different schools of Tantra, they would start teaching Tantra and so on. So the 12 families branched out to nearly 23 families. But among these 23 families, many families are still extinct, and many of these families have become extinct in the worship of Tantra at least, or they are not predominantly active in the field or in the temples. Among these 23 families comes the Chenas, the family of Chenas. And Chenas Nambudri is the Nambudri who is the Tantri for the Guruvāyūr temple. The Chenas family is also the Tantri. They also have the authority to perform Tantra in the Tali Kshetram, Tali Shiva Kshetram in Calicut, and Ernakulam Tappan Kshetram in Ernakulam. So these are all some of the famous temples that come under the authority of the Chenas Tantri or the Chenas Nambudri. So this is where the lineage comes. And as I said, the mode of worship of Tantra in Kerala predominantly started with Adi Shankaracharya, who codified this entire. It was existing even before Adi Shankaracharya, but probably there were many aspects of Vama Marga also that had crept in at that point of time. Also, many evil aspects or many inauspicious aspects had also crept in to the tantric practices. Hence, Adi Shankaracharya cleansed all those aspects and he codified the entire form. He composed a work called Prapanchasara, which is like a guiding text for tantric practices. And he assigned this to the different tantris in Kerala to practice it as per this text. So more or less we can trace the lineage or the current performance to Adi Shankaracharya. That is when it began. This Dakshina Marga or the Sattvic form of performing Tantra. After that, after the time of Adi Shankaracharya, it continued that way. And then one of the ancestors of the Chenas Illam or the Chenas family, one of the brilliant minds in the Chenas lineage called Narayana Nambudiri, Chenas Narayana Nambudiri Pad, he composed a work called the Tantra Samuchaya. So what was the need for this work? Because by the time of after Adi Shankaracharya, there were of course many schools of Tantra as we saw, there are many families practicing, and then slowly, there were many other different aspects that started creeping into Tantra. And by the time of Narayana Namboodiripadu, many forms of Tantra worship, though all of them were Dakshina Marga only, but many different varieties of Tantra existed in Kerala. So it became difficult even to, from one temple to another temple to replicate worship forms, and other things became very difficult because it got too customized for the temples, and there were many aspects that had crept in. So to make a comprehensive view of Tantra, to bring everything under one umbrella rather than remaining very distinct and fragmented, to bring all of them together and to form a unified text of Tantra, so that it becomes easier to teach Tantra also. If you have to share it with the next generation, if there are too many forms, too many fragmented aspects, then it becomes difficult to pass it on to the next generation. So even as an academic, or even as an aspect of a science or a topic to be taught to the next generation, it became difficult. So the Narayana Namboodiripadu is credited with composing the Tantra Samuchchaya. So Samuchchaya itself means bringing everything together, a congregation. So he brought the existing tantric practices all together, and he composed the work called Tantra Samuchchaya, along with taking the aspects of different tantric practitioners, experts of his period. And Tantra Samuchchaya is like the guiding, governing text for Tantra in Kerala today, because it is based on all the aspects of Tantric, all the Tantric texts that were composed before him, including the Prapanchasara of Adi Shankaracharya. So all of those aspects have been imbibed. And the text of Tantra Samuchchaya was composed by Narayana Namboodiripadu. So this is the governing text. And since this great mind came from the Chenas Illam, the Chenas family enjoys a much higher, it's on a higher pedestal as far as the tantric practices of Kerala are concerned. The Chenas family, or the Chenas Namboodiris, have a higher say, because this ancestor of theirs was the one who did this Tantra Samuchchaya. Hence, a great amount of respect and position is given to the Chenas Illam and the Chenas family in this, in the Kerala Tantram, the tantric aspect of Kerala. And in Guruvāyūr, it has been the Chenas family that has been responsible for the tantric practices or the tantric rituals to be performed to the Lord. And in a beautiful interview that you can all see on YouTube of Chenas Dineshan Namboodiripadu, he says that Guruvāyūr is possibly the only Kshetram in Kerala where the tantric practices have been continuing with no breakage, with no break in between. They have been continuously being done right from the time of installation till today. There has been no break in the tantric practices, and they have been performed always to the T, perfectly done. Tantric practices, probably it is only the Guruvāyūr temple, only the Guruvāyūr Kshetram where this has been done. See, this is reflected a lot in the power of the Lord. These tantric practices, this acharam, or this kind of rituals and worship we do, the importance of that comes in the power and the energy that the idol or the vigraham is absorbing. It all depends upon the kind of rituals, the kind of worship that we do to the vigraham, which we shall see in the upcoming slide. Now, this Tantra Samuchchaya, or Tantra in general, it speaks about all the aspects of the temple, starting right from Kshetra Bhu Lakshanam, means finding the right spot for the building of the temple. The Prasada Lakshanam means how the Gopuram, the Stupam, or the top part of the temple, the Vimanam, should look like. The Bimba Lakshanam, how should the Vigraham look like for different kinds of deities, how should it be, through what it should be made, all those. Mandapa Samskaram, the different mandapas. We saw the Namaskara Mandapa, Mukha Mandapa, Ardha Mandapa, different kinds of mandapas and structures that are constructed within the temple. What kind of rituals have to be done to purify this, how these are to be constructed, etc. The Bimba Shuddhi, after the making of the Bimba, how it should be purified. The Pratishtha, the consecration of the Bimbam, of the Vigraham. Nitya Puja, the daily rituals that have to be performed. So these are all codified in the Tantra Samuchchaya for different kinds of deities, how it should be performed. And then there might be some customizations or some specific features for every temple. which will be known to the tantris of that temple. The Kalasha Snanam, through Kalasha, what kind of abhishekams have to be performed to the Lord once in a year or a few times in a year. The Kalasha Snanam is done, in terms of purifying. It's again a purificatory act to say that there are certain impurities that are there, which the Vigraham has absorbed or assimilated. All those impurities have to be removed, and greater energy has to be given to the Vigraham through this Kalasha Puja. So the Kalashams means pots. Sahasra Kalasha Puja and all are done where thousands of pots, gold, silver pots. This is done especially in Guruvāyūr, where thousands of silver pots are kept in a Vedi, in a place, and they are worshipped, for many days with Vedic mantras and different kinds of mantras. These are worshipped, and water has got an immense power to absorb energy. So this mantra, the energies of the mantra, this Vedic energy, the Vedic mantra energy that is generated by the chanting of these mantras are absorbed in this water, and this sanctified water, this energized water is poured on the deity. So the deity is then given all this energy that is there in these waters, and that is how the energy is sustained as well as increased. So the Kalasha Snanam, Utsava Vidhi, the kind of Utsavas, the festivals that needs to be conducted in the temples and how it has to be conducted, the Prayaschittams. If some untoward event happens within the temple, like anybody dies within the temple, then it becomes Ashaucham. Then what has to be done? If the chief priest himself he dies and there is nobody to perform the ritual, then what has to be done? Or if some other thing, if a fire event takes place or some other destruction happens to the temple, then what has to be done, and so on. This is a Prayaschitta Vidhi. Jirnodharanam. Jirnodharam is replacing of the idol or placing the idol again. If it has become worn, torn, the wear and tear has occurred and all those things, Jirnodharanam. Mantrodhara, the mantras again. Along with the Jirnodharam is keeping of the temple, keeping of the idol back again. Mantrodhara is along with the mantras and different vidhis, giving back the energy to the Lord. So different aspects are considered within the text, and this is especially the contents of the Tantra Samuchaya. So this is broadly the scope of topics which are dealt with in the tantric aspect of the Kerala temples. And in the Tantra Samuchaya, there is a verse which says, Acharya tapasa amnaya japena niyamena cha utstavena annadanena kshetra vriddhihi tu panchadha. There are 5 ways in which the power, the energy of a temple can be increased. Kshetra vriddhihi, the power of a temple, the power, the energy in the temple, the energy field of the temple, as well as the energy of the Vigraham itself, can be increased in 5 ways. Acharya tapasa. The first is the Acharya tapas, means the penance of the priest who is performing the rituals, as well as the tantri who is doing different rituals for the temple at different points of time. Their tapas, their penance is very important. They have to be austere people. They have to have followed those vratas and those kind of rituals, and they have to be those great human beings where they have performed that much of tapas that they themselves are divine. The divinity of the Acharya is what gets transferred to the Vigraham. So now you understand the correlationship. It is not that the Vigraham itself, which is also possible, yes, the Vigraham itself has got its own divinity, but it is the Acharyam, it is the priest, it is the Archaka and his tapas that is primarily contributing to the divinity of the place. And that is where the importance of rituals and the importance of selecting the right priest, selecting the right Acharya, the Acharya maintaining the right Dinacharya, all the rituals being austere, all these things comes there. Different aspects then come together in this one word called Acharya Tapasa. Second is Amnaya Japena. Amnaya Japa means Veda Japa. The different Vedic mantras have to be constantly recited in the place. That itself creates that kind of a atmosphere which is charged with Vedic mantras, which is why we have the Odikyan, which we saw. Niyamenacha. Niyamas are the different rituals and the different codifications that are being laid, especially for Guruvāyūr temple by Adi Shankaracharya himself. So that has to be followed to the T without any sort of leeway here or there, performing all the aspects that have been laid down, the rules that have been laid down to the T. And every temple has got this niyama. laid down by the acharyas, by the purvacharyas. So they have laid down these rituals, how this has to be conducted, everything perfectly. Utsavena, the Utsava has to be conducted, where the Lord goes and meets the people. In many of the Utsavams, you will have the procession or the Urvalam, of the Lord, where he will leave his, he will leave the Garbhagraham, he will leave the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he will go to meet the people. That is very important for people to meet the Lord and the Lord to see to see his subjects, to see his people. So Utsavena, Annadanena. Annadanam is a very, very important aspect. As you can see here, it's one of the 5 factors that can improve the energy of the temple. Because Annadanam is considered to be among the highest forms of charity, that is giving of food. And Annadanam, especially of temples, has to be, in most cases, has to be the Annam that has been given as Nivedyam to the Lord, has been blessed, sanctified by offering to the Lord. And that Annam is offered to the hungry, the hungry stomachs. There is only one thing in the world where the human being or the person says enough, and that is food. The moment he is hungry, you give him food, and the moment he is satisfied, he'll say enough. He cannot eat anymore. So that is a place where there is an aspect of satisfaction. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. In the living beings, Aham the Vaishwanara Agni, the digestive fire, which burns at the right time. And that is why you feel the hunger. Aham Vaishwanaro. So that Vaishwanara Agni, that digestive fire that burns and that creates that pangs of hunger in every being, whether it be a human, whether it be an animal, whether it be a bird, whether it be a tree, or whoever it is. That digestive fire, that pangs of hunger, is the manifestation of the Lord himself. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrataha. He is residing in the beings as Vaishwanara Agni. So that is why Annadanam is performing worship, performing ritual to the Lord himself. These are the 5 aspects that lead to the Kshetra Vriddhi, or to the upliftment of the energy within the temple. We shall look at the other aspects of the Tantra Sampradayam and the other aspects of Tantric rituals, and those which are specifically related to Guruvāyūr in the next session. Till then, Namaskaram.